Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We review anything and everything. And today we are getting into the Eureka AirSpeed ultra lightweight powerful vacuum, compact vacuum. I don't have the, hell, here goes the number of the model down here. It's the NEU10AE5. I'm going to put a link in the description down below for you to purchase this on Amazon. I recently purchased this because I needed a new vacuum. I had a Hoover vacuum. I'm not sure the model number at the moment, but it was really nice and it served me a really good long time, over 10 years. And I like the fact that you were able to really take it apart. And then if it wasn't suctioning very well, you could take it apart in a lot of areas. It had a lot of aspects of it that you can really like I said, take apart like and clean manually. It wasn't like a thing there. It was hard to take off pieces. You could take off the bottom piece that gives you access to the wheel, the brush wheel, and all the kinds of things. So unfortunately, it hit a point where regardless of doing all those things, I wasn't able to really get a good suction out of it. I'm still going to try to do a deep dive on that later, but nonetheless, I needed a new vacuum soon because that's been kind of holding me off from being able to vacuum. So I purchased this one. One thing I noticed on it that I really liked was this right here, the bonus washable filter. Now, I was always told that that Hoover was one of the only ones that had that, and this one actually has that, so I'm happy about that. I am going to unbox this. I'm going to pause the video to unbox it because there's a whole lot. Unfortunately, you guys see, since this is tall and me having it in my recording area, it's going to be hard for me to kind of just record this while I unbox it. So I'm just going to unbox it, take the pieces out, and then I'm going to continue the recording. But nonetheless, afterwards, after I set it up together, put it all together, I am going to do some vacuuming and I'm going to tell you what my experiences was and how I feel that it compares to my old vacuum. Not to say it's a direct comparison, but obviously this is the new vacuum in my life. So I'm going to have to see that it actually does its job pretty well. So we will be back in a short moment. All right, you guys. So what I decided to do is, let me get my lights on here. I am going to just display everything. So I've opened up the box and I'm going to put everything out on the table. This is a little bit of a lot when it comes to just dealing with things that are so big versus what we normally would have on the channel. So we have this here. I'm not sure if this is the filter, but you have the instruction manual. And that might be the filter. Let's see, this is a handle or hose piece. We will find out soon. The extra pieces, a little brush and little, what would be a nozzle for precision vacuuming, usually like on a piece of furniture or something like that, anything that's not on the floor. So you can use it for the corners. I think they call that a corner edge piece. Okay. Of course, this is tumbling down now. Okay, had to go a little bit wide with the camera angle for this because it's just very big. And I'm not going to be able to fully show the entire product on here at one given moment. I'm going to move my plant to the side a little bit because it is a little bit in the way. Matter of fact, the plant is fine there. I'll put it right back. Don't mind the fact that the base around the plant gets that's how those pots do. They get dirty over time just off the material, the clay thing. But let's not rant and rave about something not pertaining to our vacuum right now. There we go. We got this to lock into place. And we got this complete out of the wrapping now. Okay, so there we go. And as always, sorry for any kind of additional extra inside the background that might throw things a little off, but this is the vacuum. So far it looks nice. Obviously me just unboxing it now, I can't really go over all the features on it. I will be able to kind of update that more for you guys later on. But essentially most come standard with this whole kind of setup here, where this piece comes off, the wind tunnel. I'm gonna call it that, even though that was the name that I think Hoover called theirs. I think they're all called that in general. You could pause that and read that for yourself if you need. So it pretty much gives you some instructions on how to lift this up and clean this. So let's see what we got here. So we have this here, and it says it could be washed or replaced. So I guess they give you two of these, because the one that we saw here, this one's already in it, and that's how you put it in. This way goes down, so the black top is facing down, the white top is facing up. So that's nice that you can clean it, but they also give you a second one. That's actually really good. So let's see. You got this piece here. Does this come off? Not really too sure how this works. I'm sure it comes up, but don't want to dive too heavy into that right now. It shows here that it comes up. So it does, and you can clean that. Clean cyclone. Cleaning dust cup foam filter. And then this is the cyclone part. So that comes up and can be cleaned as well. Obviously, there's no need for me to do anything like that now because it's unused. And then you would open this here at the bottom when you're just emptying it out on a regular basis. Similar to any other ones, I guess they're all really the same because, like I said, my Hoover was pretty much the same way. But one thing I really did enjoy about the Hoover, though, that I'm going to end up having to live without, was that the Hoover had a function of where you can make the cord wrap into itself. And now, obviously, this has the old school, just take the cord and you would wrap it around this piece here. But on my old Hoover, it used to just be, and that added a lot of weight to it, most likely to having the mechanism and this and that. Not a lot, but this is definitely lighter. With that one there, it was a thing of, let me wrap this up. That was a thing of where you can, it was one of these kind of almost like a button like this, and you would press it and it would wind itself right back into its own one. So if I can actually get that one fixed and get it working again, I will hold on to it. I'm definitely not going to throw it away. But like I said, in the meantime, I needed something that could work right now as if it was new. And my current one, my Hoover, is right now not working very well. The dust is actually pouring back out of it as it tries to lift stuff up because it's not suctioning that well. And then here we go. And then you can lock the cord up like that. This piece, I'm gonna assume, goes like this. And obviously that part goes right here. And that's pretty much this. And this handle piece goes on the top. And there that goes. Like I said, it's not, I will lower this to kind of display it a little better. And that's the handle piece right there. And the handle does not have any kind of buttons on it or anything like that. So I'm gonna imagine that the area to activated, I believe, is this, but I'm gonna have to read the instructions. So like I mentioned before, I'm going to pause the video, I'm gonna get into things, and then from that point, I will let you know the features of it, everything about it, you know, things that I like, that I don't like, whatever the case is. As I said before, link's gonna be in the description down below, and I'll catch you guys in a few. Okay, you guys, so I'm back, and I had a chance to test out the vacuum, and so here goes my thoughts. So I'm going to kind of take a look at this from two perspectives. I'm going to take a look at it from the perspective of comparing it to my old vacuum, which was a Hoover. I'm actually going to bring that one into frame so you guys can get a look at it, so you get an idea of what I'm saying. So just really quickly, this was my Hoover and wind tunnel T-Series. I don't have the exact numbers of the model on hand, but when I purchased this at the time, and like I mentioned earlier in the video, that I really want to try to get it working and get it properly, but when I vacuum with it, it doesn't really suck everything up anymore. I probably have to do a deep cleaning of it, and I did a mild cleaning of it before, but a deep cleaning, you take out the bottom, you could take out the wheel, all that other kind of stuff. This costed me $80, maybe about 12 years ago or something in that range, and it worked really well. I had a lot of premium features to it as well, or these features came standard. Besides for having all your basic attachment points and whatever the case is, you get this piece here, which was like a roller piece, which simulated like a mini vacuum that you attach, and it has the little roller wheel, the same thing as the bottom of a vacuum would have. But also one thing that this had too was the power cord rewinder, where you can press a button, a foot button, and then it will rewind the cord right here all the way in it automatically. Now, I'm not gonna go heavy into that right now. I just wanted to give a sense of reference. So like I said, and it's a little dusty because I haven't used it in a while, because I used it not that long ago and it wasn't working. So that's why I was in the market to get a new one. Now, with that being said, the Eureka it was quoted as being on sale price or limited deal price on Amazon. Like I mentioned, link's gonna be down below in the description. At $60, $59.99, so we're just gonna say $60. $60. The Hoover from way back in the days I just showed you was $80. So it's a $20 difference for what I consider a lot more premium features, though it's heavier. So I don't know if you're paying for portability. So here goes a few of the things that I'm gonna say in general first, in regards to what I like, and then things that I don't like, and then also just in a comparative way to what I've been used to. So the things that I like about it is it's simple, it gets the job done. It seemed to be pretty strong. It picked up things off the floor, even though I think at this point in stage, when it comes to vacuums, that they're all gonna be strong. They're all gonna, you know, be able to suction very well versus like say, you know, 30, 40 years ago when you had those bagged ones that weren't these like tunnels, wind tunnel types. You had those bagged ones back in the days, if people remember those. So in general, they're gonna do very good. For its compact size and being so lightweight, that's a very big plus because it's easy to maneuver around and whatnot. And it comes with all your basic functions. This is not necessarily like a super pro, but you know, you've got your little brush piece. You have your little cone piece. And so obviously you take the tube off the back, and that is how we get to, you know, like having the nozzle off. But if you want to extend that further, besides for just putting this piece on, which this doesn't have as many attachments as like my Hoover had, but if you want to extend it even further, this piece unlatches like I showed earlier, and that becomes the extension of your nozzle. You plug it in here. Now, I get that this is space saving, and the fact that this is also your attachment piece, but it's also your handle. I kinda am funny about that, and I'll tell you why. One, it doesn't feel solid. It jiggles a lot because it's really an attachment piece. It's not the actual handle. We're on something like a full-size vacuum. I'm gonna call my Hoover a full-size and this one like a mid-size, just for sake of differentiating. On the full-size, you have a solid handle that's built in, and it's not like detachable. In addition, because you have a solid handle, the power button is at the top, while this one's power button is actually the foot press here. And though that's not a problem in general, I found myself sometimes between that and then wrapping up the wire, bending over a lot. If there's times where, like, you know, say if I'm kind of not fully standing up, I'm in the middle of wrapping this and I go, oh, you know, I pull this nozzle off and I want to quickly vacuum something, I'll press that with my hand. And I find myself bending over more, where I felt that a lot of the features on the Hoover, you never had to do that. When it came to wrapping the wire, like I said, it was a foot press and it wrapped itself. So I never had to bend down for that. When it came to pressing the button's in the handle up top. So that is a thing there. Like I said, as far as the positives, was just as light and whatnot, but going into some of the negatives, I just addressed that one there. Another negative to me is this right here. I know that's standard to be able to, you know, you have the whole wrapping and this and that. I would say if that was taller up, it would have been nicer. Now, granted, this is a smaller vacuum, but as I just showed with the Hoover, the kind of base of the Hoover where the funnel part is roughly about this high on the Hoover. So if that didn't have an automatic cord rewinder, maybe the wires, the plug-in wires would be able to be up here and it'd be easier to kind of maybe wrap around. This has you bending down so low. It's a little annoying on the back. Like I said, that's more of a premium feature, but I'm still just counting it from what I came from. In addition, yeah, I would say for the most part, that's really the only negatives, is this piece here as the attachment being the main part. It's a positive and negative. And then this part here, it's not a huge negative, but it's the standard of most things. But after coming from what I came from, one other positive too, as I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the video, is you have a washable filter, which the Hoover had as well. So that part's great. So other than that, like I said, it's pretty good. It got the job done. As far as the price goes, it is a good price relative to what I've seen vacuums are at now. But to me, one of the big negatives is that price, relative to what the vacuums was before, like the Hoover, like I said, and this is over 10 years ago, I feel like the Hoover gave me so much more premium features at only $20 more. And this is a sale price and the Hoover wasn't. So you could almost say if this wasn't on sale, and I don't know if that's just a made up sale price and if that's normally just a normal price anyway, and they're just advertising sale prices, because I know they do that sometimes. But let's assume that it was a sale price. Let's assume it should be $20 more and it would have been $80 on its regular price. I feel that a lot of corners were cut to give you a simple package that works, but you're still, and it's lighter. And if someone wanted to make the argument, well, they had to do that so it could be lighter, and the positive that you're getting is that's lighter. I get that. But at the same time too, I feel like you're getting so much more premium features for the Hoover, which essentially would have been the same price if this wasn't on sale. And even though it's a lot heavier, the Hoover is a lot heavier. I feel like those features are worth it. One other thing I just realized also too, is this doesn't have, which the Hoover has, a little dial to set the height, 5 height stage. This doesn't have that at all. So that's one thing too. Whenever I had to kind of go over a slightly carpeted area, you could feel that it's a little bit, the brush is pushing against that. That's also a big feature, I think, as well, because obviously most people are going to want to go over different types of areas in the home. So I feel this is more dedicated towards hard floors and very small, thin profile rugs that are not very bushy. If you go into a carpet in a room or some of those rugs that are very bushy, this is going to, I don't feel is going to go very well with those, because it's going to be a hard push. And I feel that that's definitely something that's a negative. So those are negative points. Let me just re-review the negative points. You don't have a height dial. The arm that you push it from doesn't feel stable because it's an attachment point. In addition, it doesn't have controls in the handle, once again, because it's an attachment point, and you don't have an automated cord rewinder on this. Those are the negatives. The positives, like I said, is lightweight. It's relatively affordable at $60. And that's really about it. It's just lightweight, portable, and it's affordable. That's really its positive. So if you just need something in a pinch, you don't want to break the bank, you don't really have a lot that you're doing, I'd say it's a pretty good buy. Unfortunately, I tried to find something like the Hoover again, and I couldn't find something with those features at that price anymore. Nowadays, I see those going for like $150, $200. for whatever reason, and maybe it's just because I searched mostly on Amazon, and even though I tried to look at Best Buy, which is where I originally bought the Hoover, even though it was also on Amazon, I tried to look at Target, I couldn't find anything that was comparable to my old Hoover. So with that being said, maybe it's just not in the market anymore, and that's just a shame when it comes to vacuums in general. But I do hope that that's something that changes, especially going back to those old prices for what you get. But as always, you guys, like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.